I think most of us this morning have been trying to ask ourselves how Kamala can actually do this drive-by shooting. No, I was shooting. This drive-by appearance might as well be a shooting, and lie to the point where we are unable to grasp the level of mendacity. How does one do that? How does she do that? How do you go before the people, not show up, not care, not lift a finger at all, at all, for years, nothing, no interest whatsoever. Laugh about it. Well, I've never been to Europe. Laugh about it in areas that just are incomprehensible. Show up for this photo op of nothing, this begrudging photo op, this drive-by, this double parked, 38 days, 37, 38 days to go. And to be able to show this, it shows, I'm trying not to overreact. It shows a I'm trying to think of the word. A psychopathy, perhaps? A mendacity, a lie. It's incredible. If you're not blown away by this, if you're not just paralyzed by the audacity, the hubris, I don't know what words there are to explain this. I don't know what to. Last night, not last night, but I saw this morning. It was a review from this great Gutfeld. Normally, I don't really watch the show, but in my YouTube circulation, there was this particular piece, and he was absolutely spot on.
In the real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason.
We try this again.
In the real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason because the story is so unbelievable. I wanted to see if it was reported elsewhere. You know, it couldn't find it on MSNBC, CNN, Drudge. You have the release of hundreds of thousands of foreign criminals, like they emptied the jails, raped thousands of rapists, thousands of murderers. And on the pages of all of these networks, the death of Maggie Smith, which is sad, great actress, Lana Del Rey's marriage, P. Diddy rumors, but nothing about what is easily one of the most big, probably the biggest crime story I've ever seen. So we know that Democrats watch this show. Some of them hate watching. But if you're watching this, the media doesn't want you to know this information. They don't want it to reach you. They would rather you die or be raped than Trump be right or find out the truth. So you can hate Fox all you want. You can hate Trump all you want. You can hate me. But you can't hate yourself and your family so much that you're going to ignore a story that puts them in danger. Now, even if these numbers are off by 50%, please, I think that the fact checkers should fact check it. You know, tell us, no, it's not 16,000 rapists. It's only 8,000. It's only 7,000 murders. Cool. I'm glad you're okay with that. I'll take your fact check. But anybody who defends this or says it's not that big a deal is complicit, and they should be held accountable. Every victim of every crime by the people that are in here that we haven't vilified, who are actual villains, you need to file a class action suit against this government. You know, these bastards were more offended by stories of cats being eaten than real stories reported here of actual rape and murder. And if you ask why those other stories existed, it was the only way to get these a-holes in the media to even look at this story. They can only see immigration as a gotcha moment for political gain. There are actual people that are dying. This is a huge story. Where is it?
It's one of the most important messages ever. And I mean, it's enough to make you say, wow, maybe we're in a parallel universe. Maybe, maybe we just live in a time. Maybe this just isn't for us. Maybe the country has been taken over by people who are of a different mindset. It blows my mind. I was watching this and I can't even, I'm at the point now, and I know it might be a little bit too late, but I cannot listen or look at or focus or I can't hear her voice unless maybe it's a parody or something. I can't. I live in a different world right now. I live in a different world. I don't even know how. This is the most incredible thing last night. And here's something interesting. As you know, Bill Maher is a guy who reads jokes. He fancies himself a comedian, and he reads jokes that people write for him. And every now and then he will read a joke or say something in a way that he's reacting to the joke for the first time because he's hearing it for the first time. He didn't write the joke. It's not his. Somebody else's words, and he's kind of presenting it. And I want you to listen. He actually, or his writer, actually gets it right with this.
That she's vulnerable on is the border. So she went to the border this week. She went to the border at Arizona. She used to be the border czar. She visited there. So interesting, along with working at McDonald's, now that's two places she worked that have a convenient drive-through.
See the delivery? You see the delivery? This is the shtick part. You got to watch this. This is
McDonald's, now that's two places she worked that have a convenient drive-through.
Convenient drive-through. Interestingly enough, though, it's true. It's absolutely true. And nothing, I don't think anything is going to be done about it by the Democrats. It is completely up to the work, I hope, of the RNC, of Trump and others. I'm going to show you some other, just some wonderful myriad miscellaneous. I just can't. The border thing is so offensive, so offensive. It enrages me. It enrages me. I want you to watch this. Merrick Garland. We haven't heard from him. This is because there's so many levels of disgust simultaneously. This was put together kind of as a sort of a, I don't know what the word is, a composite, something teetering on funny, but there's nothing funny about it at all. Watch this.
Attorney General, are you above reproach?
Harriet Hageman.
I'm not above criticism. I'm not sure what you mean by reproach, but of course you're totally free to criticize me, and I expect
Yeah, as
you will.
American citizens, we can criticize you. We can criticize all of our government employees, can't we?
Absolutely.
Because you've seemed to whine quite a bit today about being attacked or people challenging the decisions that you've made. The justice system can survive those who challenge the prosecutors, but it can't survive those who prosecute the challengers. Which is kind of the situation we're in with the Biden administration and you at the helm.
The answer to your question is Congress is not giving us money for FBI agents to go into the reservations.
So this is Congress's fault that you won't do your job.
It's Congress's fault.
This is Congress's fault that you won't protect reservation, that you won't protect our reservations from the consequences of the Biden and Mayorkas open border policies. That's Congress's fault, not theirs.
If you give us money for more FBI agents.
You need more money for FBI agents. How about if they just enforce the border? How about if you ask them to enforce the border?
The time of the gentlelady has expired.
Mr. Hur, having been a long-term DOJ prosecutor, can you please explain why those people without the last name of Clinton or Biden are typically treated quite differently and seem to be the only ones who are never held accountable for violating the law?
Congresswoman.
I'm asking specifically about Mrs. Clinton and Mrs. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden.
Congresswoman, I don't have any opinion to articulate with respect to the
I
investigation.
love this woman.
I yield back. The fact is that we know that a lot of the information that was being peddled by this White House was untrue. We know that the CDC lied. We know that Anthony Fauci lied. We know that Mr. Biden lied. And you were pushing propaganda.
Would the gentleman
Very much. No, I will not.
I'd love to know the source of your
This is my
citation.
time. I think it's fair to say that the position of President Biden was to get as many Americans to.
This is what we need more of. This is what we need more of. We could go on. There's so much wonderful information there. There is outrage. There is legitimate outrage. That is without a doubt so critical for us. And you know what's interesting? Again, you can watch and learn and grab this stuff and collate it and the like. Some of it's kind of funny, some of it's audacious, some of it's incredible. I played for you this Liberals Losing It. This is at Sky Australia. Did you see this one?
Now, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have been accused of deliberate misinformation. They've released a political ad that claims to depict two former Trump voters who live in Pennsylvania and who have switched to Team Kamala after the horrors of January 6th. But this pair of farmers shown in the ad appear to, in fact, be two actors, Robert Lang and Christina Chadwick, and they have an extensive history of kosher of donating to the Democrats and leftist causes dating back to at least 2016. For a party that talks endlessly about the dangers of disinformation and misinformation, they engage in plenty of it.
Yeah, so this is great investigative journalism by the journalists that went and found that out. I think it's another illustration of just what is a very synthetic campaign and a very synthetic candidate.
Now and this is great, and we know that. But do you think this is going to somehow traverse the blood-brain barrier? Do you think that people who might be voting for her are going to change their mind? Do you think? Do you think so? I'm going to throw something else at you, which is I've told you this before, and I'm going to say it again. The people that I'm interested in the most, out of all the demographics, are blacks, Latinos, and gays, because they've been just forgotten by everybody, by everybody. For some, they're looked at as some kind of a voting bloc. Lawfare, what they're doing to Diddy, what they're doing to even to Eric Adams to an extent, is being seen by a lot of folks as why now? Why are these people targeted? There was a fellow named Michael Jackson, you might have heard, and he was a freak and that sort of thing, but I do not think he was in any way half, a third of the predator they said he was. The lies were contrived, many of them embellished, all to get and secure money. Watch this. This is on memory lane, which I think will have a tremendous impact on the way a lot of African-American voters and others think about gay marriage.
Could mean life in prison. And cases like this can depend.
You see this? See the four eyes? You see this look of horror? You see the look of horror on his face? Do you see that? Do you see the way he looks? Look at this picture said it all. You see the whites of the eyes? Was that four eyes? That the name of it.
On the testimony of the child accuser.
In general, the child will be able to recall and recollect with some detail the incident, and that is persuasive to a jury, even if it is the only testimony that is available.
Jackson gave a wave when he was released after booking. He's scheduled for arraignment in January.
Michael's been a long-time resident of Trump Tower, and last night the Donald strongly reiterated his defense of Jackson with Larry King by going after the accuser's mother.
She's had plenty of experience at going after people, and she goes after them viciously and violently, and I saw a story and I read another story about some of the things she's done. and I don't believe it.
But you know what it's like when an indictment comes down.
It's tough.
It's presumption.
It's tough. It's tough to win, but I have a feeling he's going to win, Larry. The interesting thing is I've known Michael from many different standpoints, and Michael would spend a lot of time with my kids. I have beautiful kids, and at the time, like at Mar-a-Lago, and even in Trump Tower, the kids were very young. Michael would come, play with the kids. He just loved children. He was not a child molester, and I am certain of that. He loved children. He'd play with my son Eric and my son Donald, and he'd just play with them forever. He loved children, but he was not a child molester. And, you know, that whole final saga of Neverland and the police and what they did was, I think, a very, very bad part of Michael's life.
I want people to remember this. I know when I tell people this sometimes, they say, what does this have to do with? No. This is a critical piece of information. This shows as we get to the last moments of the election, when all the issues have been said, when border this and border that, and people are able to fine tune, and people are finally able to say, you know, no, it's that moment. That's the independent and the undecided voter. And that's when they come out of the woodwork. It's at that moment when something hits them. And it might be something about Springfield. It might be the dogs. It might be. It's because they're not going to be talking about Hezbollah. They're not going to be talking about Zelensky. They're not going to be talking about no, that doesn't concern anyone. This is a different story. I'm going to say one more thing to you as well, which I think is critical. And I'm going to say this again. Everybody can talk about the usual things that upset us. The fact that she's going to the border, that's not going to move the needle one way or another at this point, because we've already made up our mind. The fact that she's showing up, people are going to say, well, she showed up. I know that's hard to believe, but some people might look at this as being some form of something, if you will. Listen to this. And I think this is beautiful.
It's the mayor of Magaville, baby. Hey, you know who we voting for? We voting Trump and Vance, baby. Vote Trump and Vance, vote Trump and America needs saving. America needs saving. We voting Trump and Vance, baby. Vote Trump and Vance, vote Trump. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we.
Okay, now to be quite honest with you, I can only take so much of that before the musical part of me goes crazy. I want to react, but I don't want to react. I want to react to the border thing last night, but I don't want to react. She went, she showed up, she did her thing, she left. Okay, that's it. She said something. We're laughing at this. We don't believe a word of it. We understand this. That's not going to do it. That's great for our crowd. We're not going to budge. We're going to continue to vote for Trump no matter what. That's important. Yeah. But that's not going to move the needle in these particular areas. It's going to be in the last month when people just sit back and they say, you know what, it's about time. I got to start paying attention to this. I know this sounds nuts to you, but people are going to say, you know what? I don't think she's got it. Boom, Trump, just like that. Boom. Provided, of course, there's not some other aspect that we have to worry about. So let me just tell you, because I want you to put everything into perspective. I was watching this morning, and the more I watched it, it just enraged me. Then I thought, what am I getting enraged about? That's just me. Most people don't. Most people aren't thinking that. Most people aren't going to care about that. Most people don't care about that. They don't care. They've already made up their mind. This isn't going to change anything. This is just our getting upset, it's this last month, last days. This is when things change. This is when it matters. The Tim Walz debate is not going to be decisive in and of itself, but the momentum part of it changes. When he says something really, really stupid, the polls Again, they're flooding a lot of the fake polls and the like where people say, oh, she's doing great. The cash is pouring in. There might be some desperation cash at the end. I feel very good about this. I feel very, very good. And the fact that Zelensky, do you know what that means? This was it. I would talk about Israel's attack on Hezbollah, which I don't think it matters to most people. I really don't think. I think people are so, Americans don't really care about that. American voters, the people who are, remember, when I say American voters, I mean people who are thinking about maybe changing their mind one way or the other. I don't think it matters. I just hope, please don't blame us. Please don't blame the citizens of the United States. And please don't try to make some random city or group pay because we're deliberately fueling the country that is dropping the bombs, wreaking this havoc. I hope that doesn't happen. That's when Americans will care. But for the most part, they don't. Last night was absolutely, remember, it was also a Friday. It's already going to be forgotten on a Saturday. Remember this. Remember how all of this works. Remember this. And just always focus. What we're talking about is great. It's fun. It's interesting. It doesn't really apply to the rest of the world. It doesn't apply to groups of people who are undecided. Gene Crane says, I am half Choctaw. The Native Americans have been forgotten about. Biden has shut down the natural gas and oil income that provided so much. Native Americans, and that term is a strange, but anyway, the indigenous, whatever you want to call it, have absolutely, positively, not only been the subject of complete and total forgotten and amnesia, but have been a part of a complete and a collective genocide. A deliberate expunction, obliteration, and expurgation of peoples who were here, not first. It's hard to say who was here first, but certainly people who predeceased us. People who enjoyed this, who came from the we're not going to go through this. We're not going to go through that. You know, are they Indian? Is it Indios? Was it whatever? But I want you to think about this. Everything else today, don't worry about any. Ask yourself right now, to the independent, undecided voter, in the next 30 days or so, is when they lock in and say, you know what? The hell with it. I'm voting for Trump. That's what's going to be. And it's inconceivable to people because people would always love to think that Americans care about the big issues, but they don't. You got it? Terrific. All right, my friends, we've got a bit of a truncated show today. I've got loads of things I'm going to have to attend to right now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget to follow us at Lionel Nation and Lionel Legal. And until then, my friends, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you.